I'm Nintendo.
And I'm Sega.
This is Console Wars! So 1 minute he's taking the bruschetta, the next there's diced tomato all over the ground, and then he blames the bread, said it was flimsy. Classic Kenny. Hey, are you listening?
Huh? Oh, sorry man, I'm doing this thing.
Are you alright, man? You seem a little down.
Yeah, I'm fine I guess. It's just that the dance is coming up.
Of course, the winter dance for everyone who works at the toothpick factory.
Yep, and I need better dance moves. I can't have a repeat of last year.
You mean when you did the Macarena to every dance? Except for when they did the Macarena?
Yeah, so I need to take dance lessons. But they're so expensive.
Well, there's your problem. You don't need a lesson in dance. You need a lesson in history.
I don't follow.
Let me tell you about a group of great warriors. Very strict, very disciplined. It ends with the letter I.
Is it Nazis?
No, I said great warriors.
Great could be subjective, and you are German.
That doesn't have anything to do with it. I was talking about the samurai.
Samurai, okay. So, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, it's a little known fact that the samurai were great dancers.
I did not know that fact.
It's little known.
Okay, but how does that help me?
They weren't born great dancers. They used a potion for that. And I just so happen to have a certain assortment of ancient samurai potions.
What a crazy random happenstance. Can I have some?
Yeah, the only problem is it's in Japanese, so I'm not sure which one you should take.
Hey, I'll try anything. Well, bottoms up. Ugh. Whoa, my head. I feel something.
Maybe try dancing. See if you can.
I think I have long blue hair now.
Yeah.
I didn't take the right potion, did I?
No.
I should have known better than to listen to your harebrained scheme. Samurai potion? This isn't like a samurai at all.
First off, it'll wear off soon. Second, you totally look like a samurai. You look just like Ukyo from Samurai Shodown.
Wait, did you say Samurai Shodown character? That was such a good game for Sega Genesis.
Right, but it was better for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Why you?
Samurai Shodown is a competitive fighting series developed by SNK for their Neo Geo arcade. Unlike other fighting games of the time, Samurai Shodown was set in feudal-era Japan and one of the first fighting games with weapons-only combat. The series has been very successful and a myriad of Samurai Shodown games have been made.
The first game in the series was ported to many different home consoles, but the ones we're looking at today are the ports for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. The games have many things in common, but there are some significant differences. Which one's better? Let's find out. The Super Nintendo game looks just like the arcade.
So does the Sega Genesis game.
The Super Nintendo has all the good-looking characters, levels, and character animations from the arcade.
The Sega Genesis game has all that too. Characters, levels, and animations.
Right, but let's talk about something my game definitely does better. The levels. Look at the backgrounds of some of the Super Nintendo levels. The animals are moving a lot, and on Sega, they're barely breathing. Look how active this crowd is in this level. And on Sega, not so much. This attention to detail is everywhere in the Super Nintendo game. Plus, Sega is missing this level entirely.
Yeah, but that level's boring.
There's nothing in this level but rocks. Lots of rocks. I'm not missing much.
Nobody cares about a boring level in a fighting game. You know what they do care about? Blood.
The Sega game has blood. Lots of blood. Makes sense since people are cutting each other with weapons. And does the Super Nintendo have blood? Nope. Well, barely. I guess you could call this blood. Plus, sometimes when you defeat an enemy, you do a finishing move, like cutting them in half. You can't do that on Super Nintendo.
So, the series wasn't known for blood and violence like Mortal Kombat.
Even without all that stuff, my game still looks better.
The characters in Sega are bigger. Much bigger than the characters on Super Nintendo. And bigger means better. Period.
Bigger isn't always better. My game lets you see more of the stage. You're always saying how my games are inferior because they're cropped. Well, Looks like you're the one with the crop screen. My game lets you see more of the levels, so mine is better. Plus, this tiny size is more consistent with the arcade game.
Right, until you get close, then the game zooms in.
Tiny.
Big.
Tiny.
Big. Bigger is better. Trust me. Every girl I ever dated told me that.
So, every girl I ever dated says we're really good friends.
Okay, but the Sega game definitely looks better.
Look how much better the characters look. Also, compared to other fighting games of this era, this is a good size. Your game by comparison looks way too tiny. More level and smaller characters might be good for platformers, but not for a fighting game. Having the screen cropped and the characters bigger complements the game more. And while blood doesn't really make or break this game, it does make it more true to the arcade. With bigger characters and keeping in the blood and violence, best graphics go to Sega Genesis.
Our presentation is pretty much the same.
We both have intros, dialogue before fights, cutscenes after fights, cutscenes with the boss of the game, and we both have endings.
But if you look closer, my presentation is better.
On Sega, when your weapons clash, you get a screen prompt telling you to mash your attack buttons. On Super Nintendo, you don't get anything. And let's talk about pausing. When you pause on Sega, you see the word pause. Once again, Super Nintendo has nothing. Plus, my font looks a lot cooler than yours.
So my presentation is definitely better.
No way. Oh, hey, your hair's back to normal.
It is? Darn, I was kind of getting used to that. Let me try another potion.
Sure, take this one. I've got a good feeling about it.
Sounds good to me.
Well,
I don't feel anything. Wait a minute. I feel something in my hands.
what is it?
I don't know, it just feels really weird. Can I play the guitar anymore?
Of course you can.
But I couldn't before.
Is that the Flintstones?
Yeah. Let me try another.
Growing Pains? I just googled Alan Thicke this morning.
Looks like I can only play TV themes. Why would the samurai have a potion for that?
Why wouldn't they?
Good point.
And I'm gonna make another good point about why my presentation is better. The Super Nintendo definitely put more work into the cutscenes. The Super Nintendo intro has a cool scene with Hamaru. Sega doesn't. Super Nintendo has cool pictures for post-battle cutscenes. Sega doesn't. Super Nintendo has characters move during cutscenes. Sega doesn't. Plus, there are more cutscenes in Super Nintendo. And some endings are missing scenes in Sega. This one was too easy. With more cutscenes like the arcade, best presentation goes to Super Nintendo. My game has songs from the arcade.
Well, so does mine.
Let's hear some back-to-backs. So it's obvious, mine sounds better.
Are you kidding me? That Galvard stage sounds a lot better on Sega.
My instrumentation sounds more authentic. My music sounds more Japanese.
Oh, you can't just say something sounds Japanese. That's racist.
Okay, so how would you say it?
The right way to say it would be that it's possibly similar in sound to the musical stylings of Japan.
I'll make note of that. Anyway, your game is missing so much sound. Remember how your game was missing a level? Well, it's also missing the song from that level. It's a pretty good song. And not only that, you're missing sound effects. On Super Nintendo, the names of the fighters are said before every fight. And on Sega Genesis, nothing.
You want to talk sound effects? Let's talk sound effects. The Genesis voiceovers come out nice and clear compared to the Super Nintendo's.
So I have better quality music.
But I have better quality sound effects.
Music!
Sound effects.
Does this mean a tie?
At first glance, our gameplay seems the same.
Both games play like a typical fighter. You have a slew of samurai characters to choose from. You have two types of attacks, kicks and slash attacks. They range from min to medium to max. Every character has a set of special moves that you can enter. You can either play the one-player campaign or the versus mode. The one-player has unlimited continues. It's a solid game that introduced a few new things. You can dash towards and away from your opponent. You can occasionally duel and result in somebody temporarily losing a weapon. Then there's a POW meter that makes you stronger when full. There's also a ref in the back who monitors the fight, but it doesn't actually affect the gameplay. Also, sometimes a delivery man throws in health, bombs, or points.
As similar as these games play, mine plays better. Let's start with the controls.
Both games have min, medium, and max kicks and slashes. That's 6 different attacks. The Sega controller is perfect for this since you can use 3 buttons for the kicks and the other 3 for slashes. The Super Nintendo also has 6 buttons with the shoulder buttons, so it should work the same, right? Well, you use the face buttons for weak and medium attacks, so that just leaves the shoulder buttons for the strong attacks, right? Kinda. Just pushing the shoulder buttons doesn't give you a strong attack. What you need to do is hold down one of the shoulder buttons, then press down one of the face buttons to do a strong kick or slash. That's so much work!
Yeah, this is really hard.
Oh, it sure is. What if I'm playing and all of a sudden I wanna, I don't know, scratch my ear? That's not possible with Super Nintendo's controls.
I can just pause it if I want to.
Your controls are lame.
Oh yeah? You didn't talk about if you use a 3-button controller. If you use a 3-button Sega controller, then this game is almost impossible. Let's say the 3 trigger buttons are your min, medium, and max slashes. So how do you kick? Do you hold start and press the trigger buttons? No, because pressing start pauses the game. If you want to use the other 3 attacks, you need to combine trigger buttons. AB for min kick, BC for medium kick, AC for max kick. This is ridiculous! Give me a shoulder button to hold any day.
Nobody just has a 3-button controller.
You did in the 90s.
Regardless of that, my game still plays better. Let's compare versus modes.
First off, the Sega Versus mode lets you play as the boss of the game. You can't do that on Super Nintendo unless you enter a code. Lame. Also, the Versus mode on Super Nintendo plays pretty typical. You and a friend each select a character. Best of 3 rounds wins. And then you keep doing it. Rinse and repeat. Sure, the Sega game has the same Versus mode, but it's a little more in depth. I can choose strength, time, items, and the stage. You can't do any of that on Super Nintendo. Even as cool as that is already, there's also a Showdown mode. This mode lets each person select 5 characters. Then you fight each other until someone loses all 5 fighters. The Sega game just has more versus mode options. Plus, it keeps the player's stats. Super Nintendo doesn't.
We don't need the game to keep player stats. That's what we have Harvey for.
What's that? You fellas need some stats? Well, hot dog, I'm ready to go. No, Harvey, we'll tell you. Jeez, you're so annoying. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to help, it's...
You know he's sensitive.
Well, he needs to keep quiet more.
Well, you can keep your versus mode, because the Super Nintendo game has a mode that you don't. The Super Nintendo game has a countdown mode. This is a 1-player mode where you try to see how many enemies you can defeat within the allotted time. You don't lose any health, so you can focus entirely on your attack skills. How do you like them apples? And there's one more reason my game plays better. Hold on a second. I forgot. Do you mind? That's not helping.
I beg to differ. Uh-oh. Looks like the potion wore off.
Here, try this one.
Sure.
Well,
Ugh, something's wrong. I don't feel good.
Are you gonna puke?
Whew, I feel better.
I totally tasted that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you should be. I just tasted like hearts, stars, horseshoes, clovers, and blue moons. Dude, you're farting Lucky Charms.
Whoa. So, why would the samurai have that potion?
Because samurai are stealthy. How many times have you tried to sneak around only to have your morning eggs give you up?
Too many. But I am missing the pots of gold, rainbows, and me red balloons.
That's not the only thing that's missing. Your game is missing a whole playable character. In one-player mode, the Sega game has 11 playable characters. The Super Nintendo has 12 playable characters. The Sega Genesis game is missing Earthquake. You're missing everything about this guy. You're missing his level, his cutscenes, his stage music, and now you're missing the man himself. And the question? Why? Why did the Sega game not choose to include this character? Usually the Genesis game is good at making sure all characters from the arcade are included, but not in this game. With this game, it's the Super Nintendo game that got it right by making sure to include all the characters, even Earthquake. I'm sorry, as fun as some extra features in Versus mode might be, missing a character entirely is unforgivable. For letting you play as every character, best gameplay goes to Super Nintendo. Both games are incredibly similar, but one is better, and that game is Samurai Shodown for the Super Nintendo. The Genesis has bigger sprites and blood, but the Super Nintendo game still looks good, with more detailed and animated levels. It has better presentation with more cutscenes all around.
It may not have the best sound effects, but it definitely has the better music.
It has better gameplay with an extra countdown mode, and most importantly, all the characters. Compared to the Super Nintendo game, the Sega Genesis version feels incomplete. It's missing so much: a level, various cutscenes, music and voiceovers, and a character. Why play the incomplete version when you can just play the total package? Best Samurai Shodown goes to Super Nintendo. Hey man, don't feel down. Your game's still fun, it's just missing too much.
It's not that. I still don't know how to dance. And now my farts are back to smelling like asparagus.
Why don't you try another potion? I've got a real good feeling about this one.
Wow, these bottles are really getting cheap. Bottoms up.
Well?
I feel something. In my feet.
Oh god, it gave you hairy, smelly feet.
It hasn't kicked in yet.
Oh, they look good. You got hands for feet. I'm sure that's gonna help you dance.
Let me try. Oh, what's... It's no good. I can't even get up.
Maybe you just need to learn.
The dance is in 2 days. I can't learn how to use these new hands in time.
Having 4 hands is still pretty cool.
Pretty cool? I can't even stand. What am I supposed to do with 4 hands on this couch? Get out.
What? Why do I gotta go?
Look, man, if I have to explain it to you, then you're just not ready.
Alright, I guess I'll go clean.
Good. Go clean. And now that he's gone, I'm gonna play with myself all night.
Woo! What is he doing down there?
Alright! Oh my god. Oh my god. Who would have thought that playing a 2-player game by yourself would be so fun? That dork has no idea how awesome this is. And he never will. It's like Lucky Charms.
Thanks for checking out our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And special thanks to Xavior TheLycan for his donation of the 2 games. And thanks to everyone who suggested Samurai Shodown. Keep those other suggestions coming. We will get to them. Also, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for more console wars goodness. Later.
If I have to explain it to you, then you're just not ready.
Right.
God